Morning everyone, my name's Louis. I'm the Project Officer for the Western Top End Savanna Fire Management Project, and I'm here with some of the rangers from Thamarrurr as well to talk about our fire season for last year. If you guys just want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, how you going? I'm Luke. I'm the manager for Thamarrurr.
My name is Rosalind Melpia, Thamarrurr Ranger.
Christine Jim Cherry, I'm the senior Thamarrurr Rangers.
And we've had a few rangers that haven't been able to come in, so this presentation is going to be a little bit more ad hoc, but we'll see what we can do. Just a bit of context for where we are. That little brown area down the bottom is where we are in the top end. And the Western Top End Savanna Fire Management Project covers this whole area that you can see outlined in the blue there. And within that, we've got 3 ranger groups, Thamarrurr Rangers, as well as the Woody Kapaldia Rangers, and the Asira Karak Kirim Rangers out at Pepamanati, and a few areas that aren't really covered by existing ranger groups, such as this area down the bottom here, which in this map is covered under Thamarrurr Rangers, but down there and also out at the Emu Point outstation there at Ngambala. And we've got over 40 different clan groups on the land that we work on. And I'll just jump across to the next slide. And this is just a little poster we had put together to give you a little bit more context about the land that we work on. So we've got a really diverse mix of ecosystems, mud flats, mangroves, floodplains, open forest, and particularly down in the southern area of the Daly River Port Keats Aboriginal Land Trust here, we've also got some sandstone escarpments. So we work on lots of different types of country that burns at very different times of the year. And we're also surrounded by a variety of other neighbours. So to the south of us here, we've got Bradshaw Military Training Area, so defence. We've got protected areas, other Aboriginal land and cattle stations as well. So we have all kinds of differing relationships with those different groups. That was just to give you a bit of an idea of where the sandstone is. So a bit of a recap for where we're at for last year. We did a little bit of training and skill development. We've got a relationship with Bachelor Institute, where particularly some of the rangers at Thamarrurr, but increasingly some of the rangers from the other groups and from the non-affiliated groups as well will be doing a bit of fire and weed training this year, so they can feel comfortable going out on country and doing that. We're also pretty keen when we're operating the choppers to get rangers who are comfortable being in the back seat with the rain dance machine, so they can go out and do the burning on their own country, as you can see in this photo. And I'll just hand it over to Christine to tell you a little bit about some of the ground burning that we do out on the project area.
We do ground burning for people to go out on country during bush holidays. We normally go out and do the burning and cleaning up around the outstation.
Yeah, and as you can see, so this map off to the left-hand side here, it's a bit of a rough map, but that's more or less all, that's all early dry season burning. So that's all the fire scars from burns that we conducted between February and the end of July. Most of that is along roads. We'd go out with drip torches and matches, driving the cars along roads. And then we try and fill in some of the gaps with some aerial burning as well. And you might notice here, this will become relevant a little bit later. We do have a little bit of aerial burning happening along the southern edge here, along this creek and along the Fitzmaurice River, but it's a little bit patchy and we'll get back to that later. And here's just some more photos of some of the ground burning from last year. As far as the aerial burning is concerned, it's a very messy map that we've got up there. Just whipped together this presentation this morning, but those are some of the flight tracks from last year. We had about approximately 15 days up in the chopper with a variety of different clan groups, often taking out with different language groups, make it out to different parts of the land trust, particularly areas that are less accessible. Most of the southern part of the project area that we work on isn't that accessible for a lot of the year, pretty hard to get to, so we rely pretty heavily on aerial burning for that side of things. And then the elephant in the room for us was a fire that came across from Bradshaw training area in around about August last year. And you would have seen this in Rowan's graphic before. There was a fire that started up in Bradshaw around about July, I believe, and it burned through Bradshaw for a couple of weeks until we got some really hot, dry, windy weather, strong southeasterlies coming through, and it blew that fire across the Fitzmaurice River. And then you can kind of just see, so all this orange area here was the area of our land trust that got burned in August and September from that Bradshaw fire. So you can see it got through our fire breaks pretty quickly. We probably put our fire breaks in a little bit earlier in the year before the vegetation was really right to burn. So that's a good lesson for us for this year. We'll probably burn a little bit later. Or if we haven't got enough of a fire break put in after the first round of burning, go back and do another round a couple of weeks later and make sure there's some really good fire breaks in around that whole boundary with defence, and also along the boundary here with Wombungie Station, who's our neighbour out this side. And that photo on the left there, we did go out with some blowers on the morning that it came across the river, just in case there was any chance of containing it. But that photo was taken probably only 5 or 6 hours after it jumped the river. And it was so windy that that fire front had stretched over 10 kilometres just since the couple of hours since it crossed the river. So we weren't able to do anything there, just had to let it run its course. Yeah, no, certainly not blaming anyone in particular. I think it's just a combination of circumstances. So yeah, some of the challenges that have made themselves apparent from particularly from this last year is that we've got a pretty limited capacity for fire suppression at the moment in terms of people on the ground and in terms of equipment and in terms of training. So we're still pretty reliant. We're a pretty new project. The Western Top End Savanna Fire Management Project only started up in 2020. And a lot of the aerial and ground burning that we do, particularly in that southern part of the project area, has really only taken off consistently in the last couple of years. And we're pretty reliant on putting in early season fire breaks. We haven't got much for suppression capability at the moment. As I mentioned before, large areas of the project area are still inaccessible by road, so we're going to be spending a lot of money on chopper hours, making sure that those fire breaks are adequate, and also that we can get people out to... We've got a lot of areas on the land trust that the time when they're right for burning, you still have to cross a floodplain. So we'll be looking at either getting out there in a buggy or ferrying people out via chopper as well, making sure we can burn those areas at the right time of year. And as far as the carbon project side of things is concerned, we've had 2 years in a row with some big late dry season fires moving across that plateau in the south of the land trust. We haven't had any income from ACCUs, and this will be a key year for us to try and get that a little bit better. Anyway, I guess I've sort of already spoken to some of these priorities, and that map on the left-hand side there, the green is the early dry season burn, and the red areas are the late dry season burn. So it'll be a pretty key priority for us this year to try and break up some of those areas. A lot of those fire scars, I mean, this is a fairly broad scale map, but a lot of those fire scars have moved through some of the fire breaks we put in earlier in the year. We're trying to break them up so that when we do get those late dry season fires that start up, they're not burning through thousands of hectares. We can contain them a little bit better. And that's all from us.